Okay, after we pick up all the knowledge on how to use this particular template that will be given to you, how do we exactly use it to begin with? All right. So the idea to using this template is you do not import this template and use it on your drawing. Instead, what you do is you start the template, okay, with your drawing inside. Or if you are given any other drawing that you need to be making developments or making changes to, you import the drawing inwards. Okay, because now the idea to doing this is so much so that we do not lose these paper settings and the dimension style settings as well. Okay, so that's the main purpose and main reason why we don't want to be importing this drawing into somewhere else. All right, but instead we bring the drawing into this environment. All right, so let me just show you an example how this is done. For example, though, once we receive the work that needs to be done, okay, like your studio projects, site drawings, and all, right? So what happens is we will open up this template first, and then immediately we do a save as, and we give it a logical name. Like for example, I'm just going to rename this as in class exercise 02, and then I'm going to just save this over. So now it's no longer used as a template, but it is now used as a drawing proper. And next, we will use insert by keying in I space or insert, or we simply just use this command insert, okay, in case you're not familiar with the shortcut keys. So insert, and we will look for the drawing. So in this particular exercise, it's going to be original drawing, okay. So I'll just bring this one inside, and I will put it where it is suitable to be placed at this point, okay? Just for example, like that. Now, if you notice, this drawing had no layers, no nothing. So it is one of those drawings we can almost imagine in this scenario. Uh, the boss in our internship gave us, or the supervisor in the company gave us this work to do, and because it is from the client possibly or from another consultant, everything has been flattened off. So we need to process this drawing so much so that it becomes a usable piece of drawing with information in its proper categories and layers. All right. So what's going to happen is we will first of all, right, need to work quite efficiently here. We can do so simply by using selection filters, okay? Like for example, if we zoom really closely, we can actually see, hey, there are some kind of some kind of dimension here, but it's in the wrong style or in the wrong scale, okay? And it had no title block as well. So we got to look for suitable title blocks, okay? And also we need to figure out what scale this is at. Okay, this is intended to, let's say, be printed at 50 scale. So we can sort of make certain intelligent guesses or develop some technique to be able to work on this nicely. Okay, for example, a scale of 1 is to 50 is what we are targeting to print this out on, but we do not know what kind of paper size we want to use. So I'll just start with a guess with A3 size, which is the most common paper size that we use in the interior design industry, and also A3 size primarily because it is more printer friendly. Anything bigger than that, makes it makes it a drawing that requires a plotter to be able to print out the drawing properly. So it's considered the start of a large format paper size. Okay, so that's why we use A3. And A4 makes it really too small to see details. So I'm going to just start with A3 size at 420 by 297. Okay, so this is roughly the size. So I'm going to just scale this one up. Okay, I'm going to scale this up 50 times to see whether we can fit this in quite nicely or not. Okay, now obviously if you look at this, it looks very, very similar to at 50 scale. It looks very, very similar to the boundary that was given down here. Okay, but the thing about this is it's in a it's in a portrait format. So there are two things we can do. We can either take the title block and rotate that title block, or we can rotate the drawing as well if we have to fit everything in. So I'm just going to show you an example here, like this. So what I can do is we can just copy this one, and we can go ahead and scale it up minus 90. Let's do this again. Okay, I'm going to use the rotate command and point, and then rotation angle will be minus 90 so that it rotates clockwise. And then we can scale it up 50 times this way. And we should be able to fit this title block in, say, quite nicely here, like that. Okay. And because we inserted this drawing as a block, so we will need to explode it by typing in X space, and we would have the drawing fitting inside this title block already. Okay, so next thing what we are going to do would be to make a copy of the template symbols and scaling it up to the target scale that we want to plot this one in at 50 scale. All right, and then we can begin to do our cleaning up work and necessary processing, etc. Okay, starting with I will start with, let's say, fixing up the dimensions to begin with. But if I have to do this one by one, I can select one of these and change it from this scale. This, I don't know what this style is, but we can start changing this to scale 50, let's say. And then we put it into the dimensions layer this way. And you can see this. This looks quite properly done already. Okay, this way. Now, but to do one by one for so many, it would have obviously be very, very tedious, if not incredibly inefficient. Okay. Secondary, another method which is slightly more efficient would be to use the MA command, which is the match property command that we can pick and pick and pick. Okay, we can do one of those, and this method is will help you work more efficiently also. Okay, and thirdly, we can try using this method here. The third method will be to simply window select everything. All right, and from here we would right click and look for properties, and this is what we call the selection filter, which we can drop down and then look at what we want to be dealing with here. All right, if you notice, you will see a lot of lines, like 129 of them. Rotated dimension, M text. All right, multi-line text, hatch, circles, arcs, polylines, wipeouts, what have you. Okay, so with this, we can look at, let's say, rotated dimension. So we're just going to filter to this one. Okay, so we'll just filter to the dimensions, and we will be able to process them all at once in this case. So I'm just going to open up this one for miscellaneous portion here. And then I'll try to minimize everything else so that it's a whole lot less confusing. And I'm going to change this one from various to say scale 50. So we can deal with everything one shot. Okay. And then from here, we can then change the layer to the target layer that we want. In this case, I'll look for, say, dimensions layer, this one. So I can be very, very sure everything now goes into the dimensions style one shot. Okay, so we pretty much dealt with everything all at once. Okay. The next thing would be, say, once we are done with this, for example, though, I always like to have this habit of, acknowledging what has been done and making a good mark of what has been done. So once I know that I am done with, let's say, the dimensions, it's good to check my own work just simply by freezing the layer away. So I'm just going to click freeze this layer. So anything that I have left out, okay, in case I make mistakes and all, anything that I have left out would be still remaining here, and then I will be able to see very, very clearly. All right. So it doesn't look like I missed out any of the dimensions. So that's a good thing. Okay. Next, I'm going to work on the text itself, the text annotations and all. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, again, similarly, I will try to pick them all at once. Okay. And I will try to use the M-text selector again, in which I'm going to be just dealing with all the text. Okay. And I will change these text to, let's say, the annotations layer this way. All right, here. And because the template has already got a style here, so I can make a copy of this one over here this way. And quite simply, I can then do a further match property to these, so that I can simply just plot this in, okay, and I can just match property all of them this way. So I've gotten all the room text to be in the correct setup and all, so to speak. Okay, and then next I will work on the drawing tag, which I will simply just copy this over, and yeah, except for the information, maybe I will just replace the. I'll just copy the text here, and I will just replace the text information, and I'll just get rid of this. It's probably easier that way. All right. And okay, there is a style for this one for the grids as well. Notice the line types are actually not quite to scale. Let me check the LTS command here, and it says here the LTS command at the moment is at a scale factor of 1 only, which is not quite the scale factor that we want to be printing in later on. Okay, so I'm going to just simply change the scale factor to 50, which will be the target scale that we want to be plotting. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this grid tag to here somewhere, so that I can do quick match properties to these grid lines here this way. And this one as well. So we remember, right? The colors actually decide the print width or the line width of the lines. So I got to be really careful with it. And I'm not too sure also whether this is what layer this actually is in. It's in the text annotations layer. So I'm just going to play it really safe by just rematch propertying it again this way. All right, so I'm going to get something similar to this. And I guess when I'm done with this, I'm just going to turn off or freeze the grid layer. And this one is the text annotations layer. So I'm just going to click on text annotations layer and just freeze it first. All right. So now I know the amount of work I am left with to work on. Okay. Next, maybe I'll just target on the hatch patterns and all. Okay, the hatch patterns. If you notice here, there are some reference hatch patterns that we can work on also. All right. So quite simply, I'll just use these as a reference, and I'll just work on these brick walls here. Okay. All right. I have changed them all to the brick wall hatch patterns already. All right. But if you take a closer look at it, it seems a little bit too dense here, because I think this has got something to do with the scale as well. So what we're going to do is we would perhaps need to adjust the scale of this a little bit. At the moment, this was referenced at 20 scale. So I'm going to try to change this into 50 scale to see if that will make more sense or not. Or if not, maybe make it a little bit more with a 100 scale, for example, and see if that the effects will be better or not. All right, this one really, it really depends on the person drawing it here. There's no defined standards on the scale of it. So perhaps I'll try 200 to see if that will work better. Yeah, I think 200 seems to make this wall hedge pattern more defined. So I'm just going to select this, and again I will use the match properties command, and I will match up all these brick walls here properly. All right. Just to be sure, huh? Okay, so that takes care of the brick walls. And these solid hatches here are belonging to the superstructure, okay? But we do not know what all these structures are like. So that's why in our interior design practice, we are not going to touch them too much. We will leave them shaded black, okay? So shaded black, we will simply change them to hatch wall layer here. Okay, so let me try to see if we can select more of these as well. Okay, so what would happen is I'm going to try to window select and use the selection filter again to look at the hatch patterns one more time. Huh? So if you notice with this now, we can simply now change them to the hatch wall layer, and everything will go into that particular layer as it is. Okay, that one. Once I'm done with this, I will then work on the wall layer here. All right, the wall layer here, we can now pick these lines out. Okay, this is the part that unfortunately is going to take a little bit of time. All right, and let's try picking out the wall layer here. I'm just going to pick on the wall layer here, so it goes in this way. All right. So you find that when you are using a lot of crossing selections, crossing selections are when you use the lower right hand, the green, notice here there is a green colored window. When you use crossing selections more, it tends to make our selection a whole lot easier because we do not need to select everything all at once here. Okay, so many a times in AutoCAD, I prefer to just use the crossing selection more than the window selection. All right. So once this is pretty much done, let me just take a look. Just a little bit more. Okay. All right. So when this is pretty much done, we'll just change this one to wall layer, and I'll just match properly. So there's just a little bit of cleanup here, and a little bit more of a match property for this side. I missed out this one here. Just these little areas here. And yep, we're almost here. We're almost there. Okay. And with this, I'm going to try to see if we can turn off or freeze the walls away. To show that we are more or less done with this area of the work. And next, we're going to work on the structural bits, okay? I am going to now turn off the hatch wall layer. So the part will be still remaining here. That will make life a little bit easier for us to work on now. So I'm going to just process the structural bits here. So these are the column information, okay? So I'm just going to quickly select them. All right, these are the reinforced concrete areas here. I'm just going to quickly select these areas. And put them into the columns layer. Okay. And with these, I'm just going to freeze this layer as well. So if you notice, our work gets less and less and less. All right. The more we complete, the less work there will be left in the drawing now. So I'm just going to select these. That's the void line for the chute shaft. So I'm going to put these under the I think we'll just put this under the light gray lines here. So I think these can probably go into the annotations layer as well. Okay, the annotations layer. So I'm just gonna turn off the annotations layer as well by freezing it. Okay, so these are the windows. All right, so the windows portion, I'm just gonna select all of these here. All right. And any more windows? These are also windows as well. So I'm just gonna pick these. Okay, window them. Yep. And I will put these into the windows or the window layer here. And with this, I will now turn off the window layer. Okay. Leaving us with now the doors. So I'm just gonna pick these. Okay, I'm just gonna pick these now. I'm just gonna pick these. I'm not going to pick this line here because this line defines the floor level changes, which we'll process later on, okay? So I'm just going to pick these here and the door jambs and put these into the door layer, okay? And with this, I'm going to freeze the door as well, leaving only us with these, okay? Now with this, these are the parapet walls. Parapet walls is in walls that are not full height, but they are more or less half height. So these stumps also for the staircase sides, these are what we consider as parapet walls as well. We can consider these. So I'm just going to put them, okay. I'm going to go ahead and put them into the parapet wall layer here. All right, and these as well, I think are the parapet wall layers as well. Okay. So I'm just going to drop them into the wall part. The wall part will be the wall parapet layer as well. Okay, I'm just going to turn these off also. All right. Now, because we turn off too many layers already, we froze too many layers, it's going to become quite challenging for us to figure out what is what now. Okay, it's going to get pretty confusing, or if not hard to ID. So based on visual memory, I think these are parts of the sliding or the louver windows as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and put them into the remaining window layer here. All right, and these are actually staircases. All right, so I'm going to put them into the stairs stairs layer here. Okay, these arrows are actually annotations, so I'm just going to put them into the annotations or the annotations layer here. All right, and I'm going to I'm going to freeze the stairs layer. So these little lines here are actually part of I believe they are all parts of the wall layer. So I'm going to just put them into the wall layer. All right. And these, I think, are the columns. All right. These, okay, with a drop, I can recognize that these are all floor drops here. Okay, this one I'll put to the wall layer. These are actually these are definitely ventilation windows, so they go into the windows layer. All right, these are the toilet vent windows here. So these and these. Okay, I'm just going to put them inside the window layer as well. And these should all go into the wall layer already. There is a level change here, so this one goes to the wall, and these should go into the annotation layer. So I'm just going to put this into the annotations. Okay, and these are, I know this would be floors. Okay, so after this is done, it's going to become quite difficult to identify everything already. Okay, but doesn't matter. So what we're going to do now is we're gonna turn everything back on again. Okay, by keying in the layer command. All right, and then we can sort of select Control A by selecting everything. Click on the freeze. Okay, and we would be able to turn the layers on all together one shot this way. Okay, and then with this, we're going to look for areas or lines that that are still in this layer zero. Okay, when they're still in layer zero, that's a good chance that these are not properly categorized yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to put all these into, say, this one will probably have to go into the wall parapet layer, and this one will probably go into the window layer. Okay, just to be very sure. Now the floor drops itself, it's a little bit tricky because inside here though, there is a symbol for this. So we can simply copy this one first over here. This floor drop symbol, we can simply match property the text and then match property the line. All right. Why this is particularly in text annotations, but yet it is still green color. This is because we wanted this drop line to be obvious and thick. We almost read this drop symbol like a section. Okay, so the one with the number will be the lower portion here. So we are almost reading it like a section. It's a sectional drop. So this would dictate this is lower by 100, whereas the floor level here will be higher by 100. Okay, so that's how it's being read. This one, I think we put it wrongly, so that we're going to fix this by putting it back to the floor layer here. Okay, this one. So we're going to look at this one again, and we're going to place them in the floor layer here. All right. So similarly, I'm going to just match property this one and match property this one as well. Okay. I'm just gonna just quickly rotate this one back again. Never mind, I'll undo this a little. I will just copy this symbol again here, and because they are all rotated, I'm going to just rotate this one by 90 so that it's easier for us to do match properties without this one, without the symbols running all over the place. All right. So similarly, I'm going to just match property this one and match property this one before I clean this one away. Any more level changes? It's good. So if we were to look at the staircase now though, the staircase condition indicates here there is again this text annotation having a very thick line as well. So we're just going to copy this one here over this side so that it's easier for us to refer to and duplicate. Okay, so I'm just going to do this, change this one to text annotation. Yep. So I'm just going to copy this, just going to match property this, match property this as well. All right. Copy this center dot here. All right. And similarly, I'll match property this and match property this and copy the center dot here. All right. Before I erase this symbol this way. All right. Now, if we look at the door itself, okay, door seems okay, seems fine now. So I'm just going to redo this one again to move the drawing tab lower a little bit now that we still have some space. And yep, pretty much that will be the whole thing already. We are more or less done with this exercise already. Yeah, this way. And lastly, of course, once we have this done, if we no longer need this symbol, we'll just clean them off, and we can proceed to do our print setup. Okay. Okay. After we are pretty much done with the drawing corrections and the amendments, we will go ahead and prepare the drawing for print with the print setup. Okay, we know that now this is an A3 size document to be printed at the scale of 1:50. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click on Control P and look for A3 size. Okay, A3 size, and I'm going to window the entire drawing, entire boundary of the drawing here to here. Okay, and we know that we're going to plot it to a scale, right? So we're going to plot it to the scale of 1:50. Okay, and we're going to try to do a print preview, and this is what will happen. We will find that because by default our paper setups are all set up to be in landscape format, and this image or this drawing that we have to prepare incidentally forces us to either prepare the whole drawing in a rotated format, or we simply have to rotate the title block to a portrait format. So in this case, we can't quite print in a conventional way. So I'm going to just press escape, and I'm going to look at the drawing orientation portions here, and I'm going to change that from landscape to portrait, and I'm going to click preview again. This time round though, the drawing looks proper. Remember in our title block or page setup, how do we know that this drawing will be properly printed? We know it will be properly printed when we observe that this gap here is about 5 mm, 5 mm, this gap here about 10 mm. Okay, and most importantly, we will know that the drawing will be properly to scale when we do not see the outer boundary rectangle of the drawing. Notice when we window that area, we window the top and the bottom one. So there's no boundary, there's no rectangular boundary that can be seen anymore. Okay, and if we take a look at it now, if we zoom closer, we'll find that our line weights are all clearly defined. So if you can see, it's got a really nice defining line weights that we can all see and differentiate very clearly, with all the dimension styles set up nicely, with all the line types all in their proper scales. See what hidden line needs to look. It looks really nicely divided and hidden. Okay, this one. So once we can achieve this, I think we're quite happy with this already, and we will be able to click. Okay, we'll save this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just click add, and save this as, let's say, in class exercise 02, and okay, and I'm going to click OK to plot this. So I'm just going to click on this one, and it will be saved as in class exercise 02. I'm just going to do this and save it as a PDF file here, in class exercise 02, and save it. And once complete, we will be able to see the drawing here quite neatly done. Okay, so, all right. And that's pretty much how I would like to share with everyone how to use this template, okay, effectively and efficiently. All right. Thank you.